At the heart of the argument within the Tory party is the difficulty of solving the migration problem. Legal migration is too high, and the government has belatedly taken steps to reduce it. But illegal migration is insoluble not because of domestic, but international considerations. This divides the left and the right of the Tory party, essentially still on a Leave Remain basis. Those who voted to leave the European Union believe in domestic control and parliamentary democracy. Those who voted Remain prefer an international world order where countries follow the same code of rights. This argument will not go away with today's bill being passed at second reading, but with migration a problem throughout Europe, it's an issue faced by many other countries and many of our allies as well. Well, I'm joined now by the human rights lawyer and former chairman of Conservatives Overseas, David Haig. David, thank you very much for joining us. From your perspective as chairman of Conservative Overseas, how much is this a problem for other nations, not just for the UK?
I think good evening, Jacob. I think you're certainly seeing. I was Conservatives board chairman in the Middle East some time ago, and I think in that part of the world it's a little bit different. But I think Europe is the area where you're seeing significant problems, as you know very well, in terms of migration, both legal and illegal, and an inability of the various governments around the world to get a grip on that.
And in terms of human rights, every government, all parties want to defend human rights. But what level of rights do you have, or ought you to have, when you've arrived in a country illegally?
Well, I think universal human rights need to be there. I think, and I think that's the starting point for human rights. I think everyone needs to have human rights, and for them to work effectively, when you look at legislation, everyone needs to have the same ones. Now, that's saint or sinner, and that's obviously creates some very uncomfortable situations in terms of cases that we see come up. But I think that's the starting point for human rights, if they are to be effective and if we are to protect them. That's the way that I would see it.
But do you really believe in universal human rights? Because there have been forecasts that 700 million people could have the right to come to another country. Is universal rights one of those things that sound nice, but actually in practice, the level of movement of people that would lead to, if really applied, couldn't be coped with by any country?
I think one of the things that's happened there is that I think we need to have basic human rights. That's things like the right to life, and very basic human rights that are protected. I think what we're seeing is that human rights has changed somewhat. So if we look at, for instance, if we look at gay rights, Jacob, and LGBT rights, it's gone from being severe risk to life because you're deported, let's say, to a country where being gay is illegal, to more of a discrimination. And I think what you've seen, because you've seen the changes in the way that rights are looked at, an expansion, if you like, that has caused some of the problems that we're seeing. There's all sorts of other reasons why we're seeing such numbers, but I think that's one of the things that needs to be addressed. So I think there needs to be a global conversation about the bigger picture of what is a human right. Is it about having your life genuinely at risk and immediate risk, or is it about being discriminated against because of a particular characteristic? And I think that's what you're seeing. One of the reasons why there's so many problems that we're facing now that we're just not capable of, whether in England or in Europe, of grasping.
OK, well, thank you very much, David.